Welcome to Programming in Your Hands. Today we'll be seeing about the classes and objects. And just now we are entering into the concept of C++. Yeah, C++ is an object-oriented programming language. What is an object? Yeah, there is a question about object. Object is an instance of a class. What is meant by instance? Yes, it is an example. We'll see something different. Yeah, this is called as a class. So now suppose I am calling a fruit to be a class. Now what will be the example? Maybe an apple. So that becomes my object. So this is how I categorize my class and an object. Okay. So now we'll enter into classes and objects. C++ is associated with classes and objects along with its attributes and methods. In C++, we call it as variables and functions. Now, for example, we say that class is nothing but a user-defined data type. The normal data types may be integer, character, float, long, double, all those are basic data types. But now this class becomes an user-designed or defined data type. Okay, so now coming to the object. Now, if my class is going to be vehicle, what can be an example of vehicle? Okay, I can take a car. Now this becomes my object. An object is an instance of a class. Okay. Now coming to its attributes and methods. The attributes we mentioned to be variables. It can be weight of the car, it can be the color of the car, and sometimes the methods. We call it as functions. It can be either driving or brake as we define. So now we have to clearly understand that a class will have an object, its own attributes and its own methods. Okay. So now we'll see how the syntax of a class will be. As you can see, this is our syntax of the class. You have a keyword which is called as a class, and this is the user defined name. This class name can be any name. What do I mean by keyword? Keyword mean we cannot change this particular word. So now this can be any name. It can be world, it can be car. Any name can be this particular class name. Now immediately we will open it with an open bracket. And we have something which is called as access specifiers here. And under this access specifiers, we declare our variables as well as our methods. The variables, we call it as data members. Why do we call them as data members? Because these are the data present inside my class. That is why we call it as data members. And here we call it as member functions. Why do I call it as member functions? Because these functions are present inside the class. Okay. So now we come across something called as access specifier. There are three access specifiers which we call it as private, public and protected. Okay. So what do I mean by private? Generally, we have all our variables or the data members under the access specifier private. It can be in public, but we normally use our variables under private. What do I mean by variables? Maybe the data int a equals 10, int b, float c. All these are called variables. So that will be under the keyword or the access specifier private. Why do I want it to keep it private? Certain of us, we share our secrets to only our friends. We may not share certain things to the others. The same way, certain data, some company may want it to keep it private. They doesn't want the others to view it. So all such data can be kept in private. Okay. Now what do I mean by public? Example is a park. A park can be, it's a public place. Similarly, anyone can view this particular data. Whatever is there under public can be viewed by anyone. So what do? We use normally our member functions inside public. Okay, what is meant by protected? We have one class here. Suppose we have yet another class, and the another class data wants to access this particular data, or another class function wants to access this particular data, we normally use protected. So when we use protected, the data between different classes can be visible. So there is a concept which we call it as inheritance in C++, where we come across this particular access specifier called protected. Hope you have got a clear idea about private, public and protected. Okay. Next comes my public. So normally data members are there in private, and in public what do we have? We have our member functions. And immediately whenever you see a parenthesis like this, it means a function. Immediately we see a function, we open it using an opening bracket and a closing bracket. In between will be the body of the function, and this we call it as a member function because these functions are present inside the class. Now how do I terminate a class? I have opened a class here, so I need to terminate it somewhere. So I am terminating it here with the semicolon. Only then my compiler understands that the class has been terminated. But if you see a member function, how do I terminate? Just a closing bracket. But when I am terminating a class, I open it here and I have closed it with a semicolon. So this is the syntax of class. For example, if we see, these are the keywords that you should remember. Class is a keyword which I should never change. The class name can be any name. So here the class name is going to be box. Immediately I open it with an opening bracket. I have private where I have all my data members, and public I have all my member functions, and here I terminate my class. So this is how the syntax of a class would be. Okay. Now we'll see a simple program. Okay. So now we start with hash include iostream. This you already know, and using namespace std. Normally we start directly with int main, but since we are entering into the deep concepts of C++, you have something which is a keyword which is called as a class. And now what is our class name? Addition. Okay. Now I am going to add two numbers and I am going to put it in another variable using the concept of classes and objects. Okay. Now class addition. Okay. Immediately I have opened the class, and somewhere I need to close. Yes, here I have closed it with a closing bracket and a semicolon. And you already know there will be access specifiers. So there are two access specifiers here. One you call it as private. So you have private with a colon. And what do? We declare our data members here. So what are our members? A, B and C. So these are the data members. And what is the data type that is used? Float. Okay. Now we should have a concept of member functions. What do I mean by a member function? A function present inside the class. Yes. Now whenever I have a parenthesis like this, it means that it is a function. So what is my function name? Yes, it is add. So add is my function name. I have void here, which means it is going to return nothing. So whenever I see a function, remember you should open it and you have the body of the function and you close it somewhere. And so we open it with an open bracket and I am writing it as cout enter A and B, which means whenever you see it within the double quotes, it automatically displays it in the screen. Now I am getting it from the user C in A and the value of B. Okay. Now C equal to A plus B. Now cout, it is going to display. What do I mean by /n? It comes to the next line. A plus B is equal to, and the value of C will be displayed. Now I have one more function which is called a sub, and in that you have cout welcome. Okay. Now you may wonder why enter A and B is not coming first. Yes, always my compiler sees or comes first to the int main. It does not go to class addition, instead it comes to main. So first, as soon as you open the compiler, it comes directly to main program. It sees the opening bracket, it sees addition, it checks with the class name, yes it is addition, okay, it proceeds with the next. And this is wow. Yes, what is this? Yes, this is my object. You cannot call any function or a data as such. I cannot call add, just add from here. I cannot call this function sub, just as sub from here. Instead, I can call those functions with an object and a dot operator. So, how do I call? So first, what do I do? Which function have I called? I have called the sub function. How do I call? Wav, that is my object, and a dot. That is why we call it as an object-oriented programming language. So wav dot sub. So it directly goes here. And what will be displayed? Yes, welcome will be displayed first. And you see endl. So it comes to the next line. Okay. Now you can see wav dot add. Where does it go? Yes, directly it goes to the add function. And here you can see, suppose, imagine that cout is not there. You have directly cin. What will happen? A cursor will be blinking over here. You may not know what to type and the cursor will be simply blinking. So always have a habit of writing a cout statement just before the cin. Okay. Now we have written, that is why we have written cout first, just to understand what to type. Okay, now I have written enter A and B, so it has been displayed. And endl, so it comes to the next line. Now cin, what do I mean by cin? The user has to type in the keyboard. Okay, what do I have to type? Yes, the value of A. Now what is A actually? A is going to be float. Okay, so I have typed 4.5. And B, what is the value of B? Yes, I have to type the value of B again. It is going to be a float, but it doesn't matter if I am entering it in a single value without a decimal point. It takes it. Yes. So now C equals A plus B. It adds them both and stores it in its temporary memory. And then it comes to the next line, cout /n, which means it comes to the next line. A plus B equal to is displayed. And the value of C is going to be displayed. So it gets added 8.5. So that is your answer. So this is how we normally execute a C++ program. Hope you have understood. And how have I terminated the class? Yes, I have terminated it with a semicolon. Okay. We'll see yet another program. This is another program. And you can see here, where does my compiler comes first? Yes, it comes to my int main. Okay, I see something. Yes, fruit. What is my fruit? Yes, it is going to be my class name. So fruit is my class name. Whatever is near my class name will act as my object. So what is my object? Yes, tasty is my object. Okay, fine. Now it will create some memory space for tasty. Now it comes to the next line. It sees tasty.name. What is this name? It just goes, checks here. Yes, name is going to be a string. It is given in private, which means, okay, we'll see it later. So now tasty.name equals, wow, since it is a string, I have given it inside the double quotes. I have assigned it. This is an assignment operator, equal to. Okay. Now it comes to the next line. Tasty.apple. So now how do I call this apple function? Tasty.apple. Okay, it directly comes over here. So now it sees cout, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That should be displayed. But it shows me error. Why? Yes, because the name is in private. I have already told you, any data or any function which is written inside private cannot be accessed outside the class, even from your main program. You cannot access this particular data called name because you are outside the class now. You are inside the main function now. So you won't be able to access this particular data called name when it is in private, and that is why it shows you an error. Okay, now coming to the next program. The same program, if I am writing the string name inside public. Okay, I have removed the access specifier private and I have written inside public. Now will it work out? Definitely it will work out, because whenever I use this access specifier, anyone outside the program can access it. Yes. Yes, now what happens here? It comes to the main program. The class name is fruit. Yes, fruit. And what is tasty? It is going to be my object. Now how do I access this data member? With the object and a dot operator and name equal to wow. Okay, and now I'm going to call my function apple. So tasty is my object and a dot operator, the function name. So it automatically goes here. So now here there will be a display. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So that will be displayed as such. And I'm asking it to print the value of name. Yes, what is the value of name? Wow. And that will be displayed. So hope you have understood where to use private, when to use private, and when not to use private. Okay. Now, there is a task for you. Yes. You can better try this. You have a class name. The class name is going to be vehicle. And there are few data members, model, color, and there are two member functions, forward, backward. Try this. You will get a fruitful and a better confidence so that you can rock. Waiting for you to rock. So thank you. Thanks for your patience. Hope you like it. So stay tuned.